All right, guys, we're live. What's up, guys? We're here with the official another episode of the Shutter Larva. This is the fifth episode, and we this week are going to be reviewing an episode of The Mandalorian. In fact, the last episode, Chapter 16, Episode 8 of The Mandalorian, which is the season finale. And I'm joined today by both my co-hosts, Finn and Alex.
Yes, sir. Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Happy Alex is here.
Trying
something different. I like it.
Exactly. And then we got our two recurring guests who are basically like hosts of this Larva section now of the Mandalorian reviews. We got Gary Foster and Bryan Carter, aka Geeky Fresh and Cap Lives.
What's up, everybody?
We got a full crew of Shutterbugs here today, and we're all very excited to talk about the last episode this year of The Mandalorian. Without further ado, first of all, we're going to give our spoiler warning we give every episode, because this one especially you do not want to watch if you have not already been caught up on it, and if you have already not seen it, you don't want to watch our review. You want to see it beforehand. Finn can attest to it. He got spoiled before the episode and was pretty bummed out, so please go watch it before you see this review. So this is your warning. There's a spoiler alert up. Just make sure that you guys have seen the episode and then come chat with us, hang out, and ask questions. All right, you've been warned. Gary, without further ado, you can take us into a summary of what happened last episode.
All right, so I'm doing this off the top, so forgive me if I forget anything, especially because I was hunting for some chicken nuggets right now, and so I can do the review. And every McDonald's line was just extremely long for no reason. Like, everybody just wanted McDonald's today, so...
Yeah, I feel like this weekend's been pretty popular because of Christmas shopping. I was out, and it was insane.
Just like what the heck is going on? Exactly. But anyways, so the episode starts with no frills at all. Like Boba Fett blasting on an Imperial ship. And we find out that on this ship is that doctor dude from the very, first two episodes, the geeky guy with the glasses, the Coke bottles or whatever. So he's on the ship with two other dudes on the ship. And one of the pilots is like, man, I ain't trying to fight these dudes. Are you? And he was like, man, I don't know. I'm just shut your mouth. So, they finally get disabled. The ship can't move. Boba Fett, they start to board the ship. And then immediately, everybody's at a Mexican standoff, kind of. Well, it's not a Mexican standoff. That's three people. But they're at a standoff. One of the pilots is like, hey, man, we ain't got no beef with you. What do you want? And this guy right here, he's a very valuable target. And then the other pilot was like, shut your mouth. Shot him in the back. Pow! It was kind of funny, though, because he was like, oh, I don't know. I was like, most people when they die, they just die. Like, he actually made noises and stuff. It was weird. It was like overacting. And then so he holds the doctor dude hostage. Like, where are you gonna go anyway? And start talking mad trash to Cara Dune. Cara Dune's not taking it. He's talking about, I was on the Death Star when your planet blew up. These guys really be some Nazis, bro. Like, dang. Like, first you want to feel bad for them, but they say some Nazi stuff. And then, he was like, there were millions of people on the Death Star when it blew up. And she was like, which one? Because, she has, soft, butchy voice, but just, whatever. But she was like, yeah, which one? And he was like, oh, you think you're funny, huh? You think you're so funny? And then she just shot the dude in the face because he was talking too much smack, and then walked off. And then the credits start rolling. Boom, Mandalorian. So we get started. Mando got this dude captured, and they're trying to make a plan wait, no, actually, no, that's not what happened after that. What happened after that is when they go, don't they go find
they go to see Bo-Katan and the Mandalorians.
Yeah, they go see Bo-Katan first. So they got the dude, they go see Bo-Katan. She's chilling, but I don't know about you guys, but I just noticed there was 2 out of 3 night owls.
Yep.
I was like, what happened to old boy?
I was kind of worried.
Yeah, they kill y'all needed help. Like, y'all kill him off? Like, what's going on? But whatever. So my future baby mama and Bo-Katan is sitting there hanging out, eating at the restaurant or whatever, and Mando pulls up with the homie Boba with the fresh paint. The fresh paint. He's been showing it off all season. It's like, yo, he's letting people know that this is me. But anyways, he shows up. It's like, yo, I need your help. Just like you did with me on the last, episode 3. And she was like, well, man, we don't do mercenary work around here. We serve a higher purpose. Like she's some evangelical person or something like that. We ever get that Jehovah Witness crap out of here. But anyways, Mando's like, I need help. They got the kid, and I know where to get your Darksaber at. And she was like, say no more, fam. But right before she said say no more, and of course, baby mama got to get in some drama and start talking all this mess to Boba Fett. And Boba Fett's like, shorty, man, you don't want these hands. And she's like, bro, you can bring it, old man. So they start fighting. And then that's when Bo-Katan was like, enough. And it was like a standstill because they.
Can I talk about how awkward that was, low key? Like Din and Bo-Katan were just like in the back, just kind of just like watching them just straight guff in this bar, bro. Like it was like slightly awkward.
It was like flirting, though. Like there was some tension between them.
It was very definitely.
I don't know about that, Finn.
That's kind of old, but yeah. Kind of weird.
She did that freaking wrestling in the fight. I think it's funny whenever wrestlers get cast in something and they do wrestling moves. She did a straight up DDT on my man Boba.
Yes.
Oh yeah, when she flipped him over.
Yeah, that's Sasha Banks.
Yep, it's clean.
Yeah, I knew that, obviously.
That's Sasha Bay. Anyways, so Sasha Bay, aka Baby Mama, she, they had a standstill or whatever. And Bo-Katan was like, enough. If we've only shown half the spine of these guys, so that we never lost our planet. I was like, Bo, chill, man. That's just part of the lore. Anyways, they go back to the ship, and then we got the cavalry, aka Fennec, aka Shield Agent May, on the ship. They're all planning this to bring my boy Grogu out of prison, and the doctor dude started talking. He was like, yeah, man, y'all can do it, kind of, sort of, but you got to be worried about the Dark Troopers. And everybody was like, man, what the heck are those? And it was like, yeah, they're just they're not regular troopers, are they? It's like, nah, bro, they're not regular troopers. Why you think we call them Dark Troopers for? Anyways, they're robots. So Boba, he hates robots. No, not Boba. My boy Mando hates robots, so he was down to kill them anyway. So the plan was to pretty much get to the ship, pretend that they fighting, and this is what they do. They jump out of hyperspace, they pretend that they're fighting, and then just as like the TIE fighters are being released, Bo-Katan was like, yo, we need to get inside. And they were like, nah, y'all need to just chill out there for a minute. So we let the TIE fighters handle Boba Fett getting shot down. Boba Fett's like, nah, bro, y'all not gonna shoot my ship. This is fresh. So Bo-Katan makes an emergency landing inside the Imperial ship. Everybody's freaking out. And I was freaking out too. It was on some crazy stuff right there. Emergency landing. And then Boba Fett pops off, kills all 3 or 4 of those TIE fighters, and then dips. We don't see my mans again. And then they come out the ship, no talk. Bow, 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 just start shooting, Soldier Boy style, right? Everybody's getting hit. So, because stormtroopers, they can never shoot, and they always get hit. So stormtroopers getting bopped here and there. And then we got our 4 ladies making an assault on the ship to make it to the cockpit where they think that old boy Gideon is at. We're gonna see what happens with that. So our boy Mando gets off the ship last. His job is very simple: stop the Dark Troopers from deploying. Simple as that, bro. Stop wasting time. Just get in there, right? I mean, you're pretty much a tank anyway. Nothing can hurt you. So Mando's making his way. The girls are doing their thing. They just shooting people, popping everybody off, doing super moves and stuff like that. Man, I was like, man, I feel like playing Battlefront 2 right now. So, hold on, mama. You got to get out of here. I'm doing something, all right? My little niece came through up in here. She was trying to ask me a question. Anyways,
you good?
So Mando's job is to do his thing, stop the Dark Troopers. He finally gets to the Dark Troopers. My man's a little too late. Man, almost not way too late, but man, they're about to come on now. They're ready. They start popping off. And we're talking about a whole platoon of Dark Troopers. Last time we saw them Dark Troopers, it was like just 4 or 5 of them. We're talking about at least 20, 30 of them. So one of them escapes out of there, about to beat the brakes off of Mando. Mando barely survives. Pulls out the best one. Man, I swear, rest in peace to Debo. But that Dark Trooper that Death Trooper. Dark Trooper was basically Debo because he was just punching him in the head. Where's my money? and Mando just couldn't handle it. But Mando had the Beskar spear, stabbed him in the head, and then ejected the rest of those fools up out of there because man, there was no way he was gonna fight all those things at once. So Mando gets rid of those guys. The girls make it to the cockpit, kills everybody, even the old fine light skinned girl who was the evil chick too, kills everybody up in there. And they're like, "Where's Gideon? Gideon nowhere to be found." We already know where Gideon's at. Gideon's 30 steps ahead of everybody. He's already with Grogu. He had the dark saber over his head, over the little on his head, and Grogu was just sitting there. He's just a baby, kind of, sort of. He's kind of old though, but he's still a baby. And Mando's like, "Look, man, I really don't care about whatever beef you have with the Mandalorians or whatever you're trying to do. I just want the kid back. So you can keep your darksaber. I don't care about that. I got guns, but you can keep that. Just give me the kid." And Gideon's like, "You know what, fam? You right. Here, take him. I don't need him anymore anyway." So just as classic supervillain move, just as Mando's reaching to get the baby, my man's pulled out the darksaber, bam, try to stab him, that Mando in the back, hit him with it. But Mando had that Beskar spear, protected him, blocked it. Then he's like, "Bro, I knew he was going to try some shady shit." So pulls out the spear, they start fighting. I didn't think Gideon would have a chance against Mando, but Gideon kind of proved that he's capable. My man's got some hands. He was up in there dipping and diving on him. But Mando's proved to be far more superior than Gideon could ever be, and defeats him in combat. And this poses a challenge, and we all know what this is about. So Mando gets the kid. He reaches the cockpit with the kid in hand, the darksaber in his other hand, on some straight up Star Wars poster stuff. I know a lot of y'all television photographers about to hit that shot. And my girl Bo-Katan just looking like, "Oh shit, what?" Looking at Mando like, "Bro, what did you do this for?" He was like, "What's the problem? What's the problem here, son? Like, we did it." And then Gideon popping off at the mouth, bleating and everything. "You know what the problem is. I know more than you know, and you just assume that I know that everything that I know is you don't know, that I know everything." And I'm like, "Bruh, shut up, man. Just what do you know?" And then basically the story, if you've never seen Clone Wars, if you have the darksaber, you have the right to rule over Mandalore. But you don't just earn it. You don't just give it to somebody. It's not something that's passed down. It's something that's won through combat on some Wakanda shit. So, yeah, with him beating Gideon, technically, therefore, Mandalore, Din Djarin, our boy Din, aka the Mandalorian, he could technically rule over Mandalore if he wanted to. But our boy doesn't want to. He don't care about none of that. He just care about the kid. He just want to be a dad. He's a single dad. He's trying to do it right. So he's trying to give the sword over to the old girl. Bo-Katan's like, "I can't just take that from you." And then he's like, "All right, so what do we do?" It's like, "Well, obviously you got to win through battle." And then old boy's like, "Well, I yield then. There you go. How about you just take it now?" And then everybody's like, "Nah, that don't work that way." And then, what do we hear? Some life forms are coming through, but they not really alive. Guess what, buddy? It's them dark troopers. They're back. And they want vengeance because, first of all, Mando done killed one of the homies. So Gideon's already laughing like, "Y'all are fucked up now. I'm sorry, y'all, but y'all are messed up now. These dudes about to come here and wipe all y'all out, and I'm going to be the only person alive and the little kid." So they're getting ready to start a battle. And then what do we see? Dang, man, it brought tears to my eyes. A single X-Wing. Man, who X-Wing could that be, bro? Like, who could have just popped up out of nowhere in a single X-Wing? Flies up in there nice and casual. And then, what? Dude got a cloak on? He looks like a Jedi. I'm like, dang, is that who I think it is? Once we see that green lightsaber, I was like, Brody, it's the boy Luke. Luke coming through just effortlessly, just whop, 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 just slicing people up, slicing all the Dark Troopers up. Dark Troopers stopped immediately what they're doing. They turned around and was like, "Yo, this dude is powerful up in here." The very last Dark Trooper he had, he crumpled it up into like a little piece of aluminum foil or something. And then we see our man's Luke just walked up inside, his usual posture, hands over his hands, just chilling. Like, "Yo, I'm a Jedi, son. What's going on? Y'all called me? What's happening?" And then, Grogu was sensing their presence. Our boy Moff Gideon was trying to pull some, how can I say, some real whole shit. So he starts blasting up on Bo-Katan, not remembering that she got the Beskar armor on too. So she protected. It kind of stings a little bit. And then they knock him out. He tried to, commit suicide on some, Nazi stuff, but whatever. And then Grogu had to make a decision. But the decision was already made, whether or not he was going to stay. It was all about permission. And Din Djarin gave the permission to Grogu to leave with Luke because he knew that was the best thing for him. And he finally takes his helmet off. I think he took it all the way off. He took it all the way off for everyone to see his face, especially Grogu. Grogu touches his face, the little happy stuff. I think everybody was crying at this point. And then R2-D2 came out. I started freaking out. And then my boy got passed on to his other stepdaddy. So, man. And that's what happened. Oh, wait. And then, of course, the credits run. And, we get an end credit with Fennec and Boba. Because Boba didn't, fight in that last fight. It would have been pretty tight if he did, though. Man, it didn't make any sense. But, yeah, anyways. So Boba comes back and goes back to Tatooine, I think. And starts shooting up everybody in not the cantina, but where Jabba the Hutt was staying at. But it wasn't Jabba the Hutt. It was one of his Hutt brothers or sisters or whatever. And started killing everybody up in. Who?
Bib Fortuna. He's like his right hand man. He was Jabba's right hand man.
He got fat.
Oh yeah,
really fat.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume that's kind of like their trait. They all got to get fat. He comes through. He's like, Boba, bruh, I didn't know you was alive. I heard stories. Boba's like not hearing it. Clap, 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 clap. Pops him off and then sits in his chair. And now we're gonna have the Book of Boba Fett. And there you have it, you guys.
There we go. Awesome. All right.
Great wrap up.
Great wrap up. Okay, first thing I just want to talk about real quick because we ended with it. The Book of Boba. Is this going to be a TV show or a comic book series or
mini-series, I think.
It's not going to be a comic book series. Okay. No way they set that up to be a comic book series.
It's just the Book of Boba sounded so obviously odd.
I think it's
I didn't know if it was going to be a mini-series trade coming out of it. Yeah.
I hope so. It was going to be heavy. Like when I saw the title, it reminded me of what they do with the Power shows. Like it's Power, Book 2, Ghost. So
I thought a Book of Eli.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too.
Yep. So that was good. And then second of all, I want to talk with Bryan about this because this is my first overarching question. Was why can't Bo-Katan accept it if she accepted it from Sabine? Is it just because? Is it just because? Yeah. Like, does she just not want to take it again, or like, is she like? It made no. I was very confused about that.
It's a plot hole. It's a stupid plot hole. It made me so mad.
Maybe she couldn't just take it from a foundling because, like, maybe that would be looked down upon. Like, oh, you couldn't even best a foundling in combat or whatever. But she has no problem taking it from Sabine.
Or maybe, something we don't know yet is, like, maybe she took it from Sabine and then, like, Moff Gideon took it from her and was like, this was never yours because you just took it. Like, you didn't, or like, something like that. And that's why she doesn't want to. I don't know. It's definitely probably a preference thing rather than.
Know that, though.
I don't know.
She would never have taken it if she knew that. Like, like the way she's looking at Mando, like, she's like, bro, I cannot take that. Like, well, you took it from Sabine so easily. And now you can't even take it from this man who's done more than Sabine did? Like,
but Sabine got it. What's her name? So, like, there was no holder of the Darksaber. It's kind of, like, vacant.
No, yeah,
she
grabbed it out of Darth Maul's cave.
That doesn't count. So, like...
The Darksaber is the Elder Wand, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's definitely close, like, because it's for Mandalore, that's basically what it is. It's the ultimate weapon. It signifies power and rule and all this stuff. It's just, that was the biggest thing for me. Because in Clone Wars, we see Pre-Vizsla versus Darth Maul. It's obviously if you best in combat, you get to rule Mandalore with the saber. Like, that is where it was established. But then in Rebels, it goes kind of off script where it's like, hey, you know what? I wasn't given, like, this Darksaber to rule Mandalore. I was given it to, like, give to you, or I guess I found it to give to you.
Yeah, well, Sabine, she fights, what's her name?
Gar Saxon.
She fights Gar Saxton.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I can keep it. But she's like, I don't want it.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, that was the biggest, like, I wouldn't even say plot hole for me and stuff. But I think the one thing we all want to talk about.
Just take it.
Did I say something that I...
Oh, go ahead, Finn.
No, you Alex. Come up. I'm going to take direction somewhere else.
I was saying my big problem with it was that it just felt entirely too obvious to me. Like, as soon as I saw Moff Gideon with the dark saber, I'm like, I know they're gonna give this to Mando somehow. Even when we see Bo-Katan, I'm like, they're just gonna find a way to somehow force Mando to have this weapon.
Bro.
For season 3, probably.
I knew as soon as he started fighting him with the freaking staff, I'm like, they're just gonna force him to somehow have it, and Bo's gonna be mad. Now, I would be kind of for Bo being a semi-antagonist, though. That would be kind of interesting to me, but. I just saw it coming a mile away, and it was just kind of like really forced to me. But
I can imagine her being a good anti-hero, kind of like a person who's like, we have to do this at all costs. Like,
I mean, she's always been an anti-hero.
Like,
she was a part of the OG Death Watch until Pre-Vizsla, or I guess Darth Maul murdered her sister, and then she's like, oh, you know what? I'm going against Death Watch and for Mandalore here because this is some bad stuff. So like. She's always been an anti-hero, but obviously in Rebels she was more of a hero because she was just trying to like rebuild Mandalore. But she definitely has that like warrior spirit where she'll do it at any cost. So I think that's probably what we'll see in like in the season 3, where there'll definitely be some like butting heads between her and Din Djarin.
Yeah.
If she's gonna be like the pseudo antagonist for season 3, they're gonna have to find a way to get rid of Casca because I don't think Din could take both of them at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, can we also talk? Where the heck was the guy Mandalorian that we had? Did they?
I don't know.
Girl power, bro.
I think that's what it was. I think they wanted, which I really enjoyed. I didn't think it was like tasteless or tacky.
Yeah.
But it just, the story-wise, like, I wish we got an explanation as to why he wasn't there. Like, maybe he was on another world doing a mission or, like, reconnaissance, or maybe he did die. Like, I just wanted to know instead of just them acting like he wasn't even a part of the crew in the first place. Like, there was literally no mention of it.
That stuff doesn't bother me as much, where it's just kind of like, oh, he's probably just doing something else. It's like, I didn't need that. But I will say one thing that had to do with...
Someone brought it up for me. Someone had to tell me that, like, why he wasn't. I was like, oh, I mean, I get that he's not there. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But I will say one cool thing that I really loved that Bo-Katan said was, and this is like one of the coolest little, like, it's stuff like this, that stuff, tiny little world building stuff that like doesn't really matter, that gets me the most excited, where she was like talking to Boba and she's like, I recognize that voice. You're a clone. Boba, I've heard that voice like 1,000 times during the Clone Wars or whatever. And like, that's not something you really think about though, because you're like, oh yeah, she would know what a clone looks like, but it's Boba Fett. So like, whatever. But the way she's like, no, I literally fought alongside you. I know that voice. You sound like every other clone. I was like, wait, that was like kind of a little bit mind blowing for me. I was like, wow, yeah.
Or when he's like, oh, this is my father's armor. She's like, you mean you're a donor? I was like, oh,
hard.
So good.
Let's go.
And even, I mean, Boba came back with some good freaking roast too. I mean, he literally was like, that might be the last voice you hear. And like, we got some good action from Boba. And like, I think for me too, and I think Bryan can agree, and maybe all of you, but after the episode where Boba was like, not first introduced, but like he kind of came into the spotlight when Grogu was taken. Me and Bryan were both like, this kind of goes against like some sort of canon, because at first in the Clone Wars we hear that Boba and Jango aren't Mandalorians, they just steal the armor. Then now Jango is a Mandalorian, not only a Mandalorian, but he fought in the Mandalorian Civil Wars, so it is his armor. But then like, so that was all confusing. So it was kind of nice to hear a little bit more detail as to Boba's not a Mandalorian, he's just a clone of his father. We didn't get to hear more about Jango, but it was just kind of nice, like still establishing that Boba technically isn't a Mandalorian.
Still weird.
Yeah, it's still weird, but I enjoyed that explanation, and I really, that shot where both of these two, which I think you guys can see on my screen, walked into this cantina was just
so hard,
amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, I really wanted more of that type of conversation, but the whole scene was just handled a little too quick for me, and I really did. The fight in there was just, it felt so forced to me. It was like, oh, Sasha needs a fight scene. We need to have her DDT somebody quick.
Why was she like bodying him too for most of it? Like she was giving him work.
I mean,
like,
did you see the first hit? Boba threw her.
She was doing she did the whole like jetpack, fly around thing. I was like, bro, come on. Like, but what I'm saying is how you felt about how like the other episode when Mando was nerfed or whatever to give Boba Fett shine. I felt that exact way about this, where I'm like,
but did you see where Boba threw her and broke the table in half? I thought he cracked her.
She's a capable Mandalorian.
Yeah.
They can both be capable, though. I just feel like there was like she was working him the whole time and then it ended in a draw somehow. I was like, bro, she could have clapped him there. Like
they were both capable, and it ends the showing that they're both capable and they both have their flamethrowers. I thought it was evenly. I thought it showed.
Well, yeah, I thought it was fairly evenly matched. Like we got to see Boba still like hold his own, because again, he throws like the first punch or shove or whatever, and literally breaks a table on her face, and then she obviously like flips him and like. wrestles him more. But like, I mean, I think it was pretty evenly matched. So I was happy and okay to see that. It was, like Gary said, a little weird that Boba left, but I mean, it makes sense. He was shooting at the ship and then he had to leave like it was a failed attack.
Yeah, convincing.
And plus, if he saw Luke Skywalker, there might have been some beef.
Like, imagine if he came back. Like, that whole situation with the Death Troopers, with the Dark Troopers would have never happened because he would have shot them out of the sky.
Yep. And the situation with Luke could have been different too. Boba could have picked beef with Luke because of what happened in Return of the Jedi, or they could have been fine. Like,
dude, I would love. I don't know if it's the last we're gonna see of Luke. It probably is the last time we're gonna see him. But in that Ahsoka show, bro, I need them to have a conversation. Like, I need.
I know that's what I need
Luke,
too.
Bro.
Oh, so badly. But yeah,
I just love and I don't even. You know how I feel. I'm not like the guy that's like, I need all the fan service. I need like, I want them to make new characters. I want all that. But like, Luke is one of my favorite Star Wars characters, and like, I just want to see him like interact with we want to get the interactions we never got in the original trilogy. Like, I want to see him like talk to Boba after what happened with Han. Like, I want to see stuff like that. So I was like, you know what I mean? But I thought I thought we can get to it later, but the Luke reveal was done so tastefully. I loved it. It did not feel forced. I don't care. By the way, the people that are saying like, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted from the sequel trilogy, you guys are dumb. You misunderstood the sequel trilogy in Last Jedi, if that's what you think. Like, this is literally they're like, I wanted him to like face off against the big enemy and like use a lightsaber and like fight him. I'm like, that's exactly what happened in The Last Jedi. Like, whatever. Last Jedi aside, I thought it was done so well. I was so happy to see him, and I just thought it was done like so.
It was cool. I just wish they didn't do this. Like, it doesn't look right.
Yes, thank you. I did not like the CGI here.
Sebastian Stan. That's all you had to do.
Yep, exactly. I think they did like, I mean, again, I was so happy to see Luke. I think the voice was great. The look, the mannerisms were great. I just don't think the face looked that good. I don't think
it didn't bother me that much. It's not perfect, but I'm just like, okay, they did what they could at the time. It didn't like, they could have recast it, but I would only want them to recast it if he was going to be in it more. Like, if this is the only time we're seeing Luke the entire show, this is fine for me. Like, same with Leia at the end of Rogue One.
It was his lips. Whenever he talked, his lips barely moved. Like, it definitely felt. Again, I'm so happy. Like Luke saying, like there's again, and like Gary said, it's a TV show. Like, we can't expect this to be Rogue One Tarkin level.
I've seen better deepfakes.
I've
seen way better from people that aren't multi-billion-dollar companies. I've seen way better freaking effects on a freaking face replacement than this.
That's true. That's a good point. But again, I didn't.
Steve, I'm on the opposite spectrum of the Luke appearance a little bit because I've told Bryan, I just want one thing from Star Wars that doesn't have a freaking Skywalker in it. Like, oh yes, please stand on your two legs and not have a Skywalker in it. For the love of freaking God, can we please have something with a Skywalker? It was done well. It was done fine. But the face really took me out of it just because I'm just noticing that this is fake. You've shown me that this is fake, that I'm looking at a poor attempt at trying to connect these two things. It was done well, but it was just an overly fan service moment for me. And that's it falls in line with the problems that I have with the season in general. They blew their load on everything this season for me. There were so many appearances. They wrapped up a lot of the threads that they had. So a lot of the stuff towards the end of this episode kind of bothered me in those aspects, especially when it came to Luke. It just didn't look right to me. If you're going to do that, if you're going to bring Luke Skywalker into something, I shouldn't be bothered with him looking like a PS1 graphic, so to speak. Especially, he has a moment where he looks at Grogu and it's like, oh my God, this looks like Yoda. And that scene was crippled because I'm looking at the face app version of Luke Skywalker trying to make that facial expression.
Yeah, I can't emote as much as an actual person, so it kind of just like he was just looking at him, like, oh, he's here.
Yeah, I feel that complaint. Right. Alex, I normally am with you with like the fan service stuff. Like, it gets to the point where I want the show to have its own legs, and I want it to. But like, I just think that it's just so nice to see such a small moment with something that like it's not like that incredibly significant. Like, it's not getting a whole Luke Skywalker episode, but I just got to sit there with my dad, who like showed me Star Wars when I was like 5 years old, and he was freaking out and I was freaking out, and it was just so cool to like have that moment of like, wow, this is like a character that we love, that we get to see like again kind of in his prime. But I do understand what you mean. Like, the facial stuff didn't take me out of it that much, but it's a solid complaint of saying like it just didn't affect it.
I
It just didn't bother
I'm
me.
always going to be different than the average Star Wars fan because I'm not as wowed by the nostalgia and the fan service of the moment because I still want you to be able to do it exceptionally well. And I don't feel like the Luke cameo, so to speak, was done exceptionally well. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what bothers me. Like, I know I said I don't want a Skywalker in here, but if you're going to do it, I want it to be done at, the top quality. And I've seen people in their basements do better quality than what freaking Disney did in that episode. And that's what really bothers me. That's my main complaint with the episode is that you had this big moment and I felt like it was crippled because I couldn't fully appreciate what you've done because I felt like other people could have done better than you. You know what I mean? Like that really grinds my gears. I don't know.
I liked Luke's appearance up until he took the hood off. I was like, yeah, this is great. And he took it off. I was like, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
Well, again, bother you guys like that much? Like it was really that distracting?
It bothered me because it could have
dead ass. Does it? Like what? I'm just sitting here listening to you guys.
I know.
Straight complaining.
Here's why
I'm just sitting here like, oh my God.
Here's why it bothers me. It bothers me because it could have been done way better than it was. It's freaking Disney. They have a better budget than that. That effect was like an early 2000s effect. That looked horrible.
Not, bro.
It wasn't that bad, bro.
I wouldn't say it was that bad. It was bad. It definitely
between young dude from Tron Legacy and Tarkin and Rogue One. It falls in between there somewhere.
This is why I say I'm on
Tron Legacy.
Right. This is why I say I'm on the opposite end of the Star Wars fan. You guys love it because it's Luke Skywalker. It doesn't matter. It's Luke Skywalker. He killed robots with his green lightsaber and he saved the day. It's Luke Skywalker. I don't care. I'm happy. It could have been a freaking cardboard cutout of his face on a dude's body. It's Luke Skywalker. I'm happy. No, you have the ability to do things way better than you did, Disney. You have the money to do that. You have the manpower.
I don't know if they do. Like
they do.
They do.
I think they have the ability to do better effects, but I think the Luke Skywalker action and like him being there made so much sense and was like perfect. Like I think everyone was coming up with these concoctions that it was Ezra or Mace Windu, but if you honestly thought about it, those Jedi would not go out of their way to go find Grogu. Luke Skywalker, who's training Jedi at the moment, of course, would go. And I think his fighting style was very much mirrored to what Episode 6 fighting style was, to what we've seen in the movies, like the 9th movie in flashback, the 8th movie when he fights. I mean, it was the same fighting style. It showed us Jedi Master Luke, something we rarely got to see and didn't get to see a lot of in the 6th movie. And I think it made sense. It did take me out of it for a second, the first viewing I had of the episode. The second viewing, I kind of got used to it. It really wasn't terrible. It was mainly the mouth that just got me because there wasn't a lot of emotion. But the more I watched it, the more I was like, the look was Luke. The outfit, his mannerisms, the way he walked, the way he carried himself, the way he looked, it was Luke. The face was the only thing that obviously was not up to par with everything that they had done, but I don't think it took away from me any value of Luke being there, anything that had happened up to that point or after it.
That's my problem too, where I'm just like, I know that, Alex, I know what you're saying. Like, it could have been, anything could be better. Like, it could have been a little bit better detailed, whatever, but it was like, for the moment for me, I know, if you didn't get excited about seeing Luke, whatever, like, I totally get it. But for me, that moment of just being able to see, like, one of my favorite characters in his prime that we barely got to see, like, and having this emotional moment and this seminal moment of the entire finale and getting to see, like, him with his X-Wing, him with R2-D2, like, I was just, the effects, like you said, like, the effects were not perfect, but it didn't care because I was just so happy for that moment. And I thought the moment was done, like, if the graphics, I guess you could call it, the effect was better, it would have been extra perfect. But to me, it was a perfect moment. Like, I adored it. It wasn't that distracting to me.
Yeah, it just really bothers me because of how easy it could have been fixed. You know what I mean? Like, they knew.
I don't know if that's easy, though.
But, bro, I see daily people on YouTube.
Well, yeah, I do agree with Alex on that. Like, deepfakes on YouTube are really high quality now that it does make me wonder that Disney probably, like, I think they were too focused on getting, like, the CGI face added like they did for Tarkin stuff, and like they didn't even think about using a deepfake or something like that, or Sebastian Stan, a different actor. They were like I think they were trying too hard that it ended up looking worse than it could have done if they had gone an easier path.
Or to me, on the opposite, they didn't try hard enough because they knew they didn't have to, because people were going to be happy anyway. People are going to be happy anyway.
Did you enjoy the moment, though?
Another Showa situation.
Alex, did the moment hit for you at all? Like, did you feel anything? Did you enjoy it?
No, because I was distracted by the fact that they did a subpar version of what they could have done.
But what about when the X-Wing came in and
you
he
could
was
make
going
the argument
through
that
the
everything
Dark
could be
Troopers?
better than it was, but this is low on the list as far as, wow, you really didn't try hard enough.
It's a shame that you didn't you didn't feel anything, even with like the bad effect or whatever. Even if it was bad, like you didn't. It didn't mean anything to you. Like
for one, it was kind of expected for me.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow, really?
I had it spoiled
all
for me.
y'all, hold up. All y'all expected Luke Skywalker
I did not.
to be at the end of
I did not at all.
Okay, let me explain, Gary. Let me explain. Not that he would be at the end of this, but talking with Bryan, that makes sense as to who that would be for Grogu to go to. I wasn't saying I knew he would be at the episode, but Luke Skywalker appearing is not actually that far-fetched, especially when they like putting Skywalkers in every freaking thing.
Expect Luke Skywalker to show up.
Gary, what are you doing, bro?
Oh,
Did you even hear me?
Gary, did you hear anything Alex just said, Gary?
no, I had to walk away.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, bro.
I have to re-explain. I have to
No, just you said what you had to say.
No, I have to re-explain because you didn't hear me. I was saying I wasn't expecting him to show up at the end of this episode because I didn't think that they were just going to throw everything at the wall for the second season. But after talking with Bryan and theorizing about it, it makes the most sense for Luke Skywalker to be the one that Grogu goes to. So him appearing at the show at any point wasn't really that far-fetched. It wasn't really that surprising.
But I had it spoiled for me and it still hit. Like, I saw the image of him in the elevator with R2-D2 and I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Some stupid kid in my freaking... It got it spoiled for me. But I, like, that moment, like, even though I knew it was coming, getting to, like, experience that, like, excitement of, like, seeing him, like, mow down these troopers, seeing the X-Wing, seeing him, like, talk and, like, get Grogu and all this. Like, it made my month. Like, it was the greatest thing. And I even knew it was coming.
Yeah, I'm always gonna be on the opposite end when it comes to the hype of those things because
you just don't care about Luke that much as well.
No, I really like Luke. Luke is one of my favorite protagonists of all time, so I want it to be done at the utmost quality. Ahsoka and Bo-Katan were done at the utmost quality. Boba Fett was done at the utmost quality. I wanted the same for Luke, and I felt like they didn't do that.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Fair. I understand. I get it. I just think that the CG is a bigger deal for you than it is for me. Like,
I understand why people like it. It's Luke Skywalker. He came and saved the day. He appeared on a show that has nothing to do with him in the surprise appearance. That's amazing. Of course, everybody's going to like that. But I just want stuff to be done at a better quality. You know what I mean? If you're going to do it, do it better. You know what I mean? But I really liked the episode. I thought it was a better finale than season 1's finale. The cinematography, the action was great. All the characters had great moments. There was just little stuff that bothered me, like the Luke appearance, the fight in the bar. I really wanted more repercussions from this than that happened.
Well, I feel like, the beef between Bo-Katan and Din Djarin is pretty, that's definitely going to have some repercussions / like events in the third season.
Yeah, but that's like the only thread that they've left themselves, which, it's fun. I don't know how I feel about how they wrapped everything up until I see how they continue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because right now I'm like, you kind of got rid of all of your threads besides this new one that you made, and that's like the only one. But that part, I just need to wait and see on that. But I really wanted like some more struggle than there was in the episode. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. Despite me being irked at how the Luke thing was handled, it was still done well, so to speak. It's just not well as it should have been, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, Gary, I want to hear you. What were your
Gary.
thoughts? Pop off, do whatever. I want to hear it.
I got nothing to say. It was a great episode.
Nothing
to say about the Luke appearance?
The Luke appearance, y'all wildin', man. Y'all wildin'. But
hey, don't say y'all.
Y'all wildin'.
I didn't do anything wrong.
I was not expecting Luke, period, because we've already went over all of our choices from when we talked about it last week.
Yeah.
It was like, there's no way it could have been Luke because that's too big of a name to be in this small of a show. And like, even though did it make sense? Yeah, it would have made sense. But we're talking about like removing ourselves from the Skywalker whole thing. So none of us really thought, oh yeah, Luke Skywalker would have been at the end of it. Yep. So when I saw that X-Wing, and I was like, okay, they sent a single X-Wing, I could have thought of anybody. I didn't think it would be Ezra. That's way too early for Ezra. I didn't think it would be anyone else besides Luke. As soon as I saw that X-Wing, I was like, oh snap, are we really doing this? And then when they showed the green lightsaber, I was like, we're really doing this. And then I want to say that I've seen, like, Luke has been like in small shorts and stuff like that before, where he'll do something and just leave, but you'll never see his face. You just see like his cloak and his lightsaber, and he just walk away. So when we saw his face uncovered, like literally for that brief moment, I didn't believe the way y'all was. Oh my God, why does his face look like that? I didn't feel that. I was looking at him like. I'm just looking at his face and I was like, yo, did they really just get like did they cast a new person to be Luke? Because this could work. Up until he started talking. But even when he started talking, like the magic, the allure of Luke Skywalker being in this finale when I didn't expect it really just hit. And that's why everybody's like tripping off of it. Because like I said, no one really thought like a big name such as Luke Skywalker will be on a little show like The Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, it is what it is. Like, when you really think down deep about it, like you guys just said, like, yeah, it makes the most sense. But it's just, like, money-wise and just, like just him having it in the show just brings the stock up for this show even more. Yeah. It could have done it better. Like, I mean, you can make that argument that Disney has, like, billions of dollars to do so, but didn't we just go over a list of like all those shows that are currently about to be in production?
Yep, very true.
That's a pie. It's like a whole pie being sliced.
Disney's not going to be hurt by the other 5 shows that they announced. That's not
5
even
shows.
I think it's more than 5.
Right now, we're not going to say 5.
Crazy.
No, I'm just throwing a number out there, but they're not going to be hurt by any of that. Like, you don't need a budget to make that deepfake better. Like, you actually don't.
Well,
like, I get what you're saying. I get how that moment works.
I don't think it needed to be better because it wasn't like, I don't know, Batman versus Superman bad.
Justice League
bad. It wasn't that terrible.
See, like for me, like going off of what Gary said, I think I completely agree.
I wouldn't want him to look like I wouldn't want him to be a fully rendered 3D character neither. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like I think they did a good job with what they had because when I first
face or just cast Sebastian Stan.
We gotta let Aiden finish.
Sebastian Stan can never be Luke. He's too damn tall.
Well, like at first I thought it was Sebastian Stan at first. Like the first, like when he took off the hood, I couldn't tell. I was like, wait, who is that? A new actor? Is that like I had the same realization as Gary did. And then when he started talking, I realized obviously it was CGI. And yeah, I do agree with Alex. It took me out of it for a second. Like, oh dang, that could have looked better. But like honestly, like from the moment I saw the X-Wing, I couldn't like stop smiling and like super psyched. Like I was so excited, and I knew it was Luke right away, like Gary said too, because he around that time was like the only one I would expect to fly an X-Wing out of like all the Jedi because it was obviously like a rebel ship, so I knew like it would probably be Luke. And seeing him walk down the halls was just great. And I also want to talk about, which I think we can all agree on, the Vader parallels to Rogue One were amazing, where like Luke walked out of the smoke to go into the command room, which is just how like Vader came out of like the smoke / steam in Rogue One with his lightsaber on. And like all the fighting in the hallway was parallels to his father. I mean, I loved that as well.
Here's one thing that I would have actually liked. As far as like editing and introduction, for me, I think it would have been cooler if that was when we knew it was Luke. Like that was when he ignites his lightsaber and stuff like that. You know, like we see him walking from the X-Wing, all we see is a robe. Because, you know, before he emerges in that hallway, we already saw him ignite the lightsaber. He's already fighting people. I would have liked it if right then is when we get the reveal. You know what I mean? I think that would have been a little bit more epic to me than already having seen him walking through. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I feel I'm trying to remember. Was that the first time we see the color of the sabers when he walks into the corridor? Because you couldn't just like play his entire walk to the corridor through the security cams where everything's black and white. So you're still kind of like, is it Luke? Is it not? And then you see the green saber. Like, oh yeah, that's definitely
the green saber. We saw the green saber before he went into the corridor.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, because it could just show that through black and white.
He ignited it, was fighting people before then. I would have liked it if they had sort of gotten rid of that shot in the edit and just gone straight to the hallway. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that would have made the parallel even bigger and kind of cooler in my mind. But,
Dude, that was, like, the greatest thing, bro. Seeing that scene, like I said, like, next to my dad and my little brother, and, like, my whole family, basically, except for my mom, was watching this. And it was just, like, we were all just like, are you kidding? Like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, I had it spoiled, and I was, like, almost crying. I was, like, so happy to see this dude.
I
think made my life, bro. I was so happy.
Yeah.
I was like, it's probably spoiled, but it's still going to be cool for you. So I saw it twice. First time I was like, okay, that's not too bad. It could be better.
Well, exactly. Yeah, like in terms of the deep
second time, I was like, ooh, that doesn't look right.
Yeah, and again, it's like a preference thing, but for me too, like going off of Alex's point, I definitely see where you were coming from, Alex. Like, it would have been more epic if, like, we just see, like, the elevator buttons, like, lighting up, and then he walks out and just goes mayhem, just like Vader. But I think it was, like, a good idea to have it, like, build up to when he gets to that point by having him go through all the other ones, because we see, like, Moff Gideon's thought process of, oh, my God, I got to shoot Bo-Katan. Like, I got to do something about this. Like, and he's freaking out. Like, we get to see this strong character actually become fearful for the first time this whole series once he notices that Luke Skywalker, obviously basically like the lead Jedi at this time, the like legendary figure, come to his ship. And that's like, I liked seeing Moff Gideon process that, decide to like shoot Bo-Katan, then try to shoot the child, and then eventually try to shoot himself because he knew he'd be captured. He knew like his plan was over now that Luke was there. So I liked that, and I also liked like the child sensing Luke and like that also build up, and Din Djarin like, oh my God, this is another Jedi. And I liked seeing Fennec and some of the Mandalorians like, I don't know if we should trust this Jedi. And like I liked that, and I thought it was a good idea that they started beforehand, but I do understand that I think it would have been probably more epic of an introduction if he just came out of that elevator and like we didn't know which Jedi it was yet until we saw his lightsaber ignite green and like
I think it still worked the way it was. It's just I always lean more towards a surprise aspect than a suspense aspect. So for the surprise of Luke being there, I would have liked it if that was the first moment that we actually know that it's him instead of a few moments before. But I think it still worked. It worked the way it. I mean, obviously it worked. People are hype. You know what I mean? Like they didn't do a bad job with the edit in that part. But I just would, myself, I think I would have been a little bit more hype if that was the moment I find out, similar to how the scene played out in Rogue One.
Yeah, for sure. All right. One other thing I want to talk. Well, I mean, there's more to talk about too. But one thing that I really liked is Din Djarin holding his own, and Moff Gideon technically holding his own against. And I really liked the fight choreography. I liked Din Djarin, like he kicked his spear up and it flipped over him and hit like Moff Gideon. I mean, there was some really, and I liked Moff Gideon's style too. Was not anything Jedi or Sith like. It was just like a guy who kind of like Thrawn would wield a staff or a saber. It was just like not even thrashing. It was kind of like Kylo Ren, where he's just like throwing the saber rather than like precise hits, and was just angrily lashing out. And I liked seeing Mando block the shots with his armor, which again, something we theorized last episode about. We were all wondering, or maybe 2 episodes ago, what's the deal with Beskar? Like, when is it saber/bulletproof? When is it not? Do they use other materials and then only some Mandalorians get Beskar? And it sounds like Bo-Katan and a lot of the other Mandalorians have some Beskar, like a majority Beskar in their armor, but another material to supplement it where it's not as strong. And then Mando has pure Beskar because we got to see that, and that's why he has a pure Beskar staff, and that's why his armor can literally hold a lightsaber like against it, where Bo-Katan can get shot. Obviously, it won't penetrate the full armor, but it'll hurt a lot more. It will do more damage. It will have dents like Boba Fett's armor, but they're still strong. So I like that explanation because that was something I think we were all pretty confused on.
Yeah. It was interesting, like seeing it. So like, I was sorry. I was just gonna say like really quick. I think it was interesting how they're like, yeah, I can't cut through that. But I'm like, the way that they choreographed it is like he was holding it off like with his arm or his spear or whatever. But like, you could see it heating up, and if he held it there for so long, it would get cut through. And I'm like, I like that. So it's not like it's like adamantium. It literally can never be broken. It's like, no, this can be melted through eventually, but the lightsaber won't.
Well, exactly. I mean,
like
that's how it's forged into armor. It does, melt. It has a melting point. It will that's how they change it from like the ingots we see in like the third episode or second episode into the armor. So I agree with you, Finn. I liked how it's like not indestructible and we see it heating up and like potentially breaking, but that was super nice.
I was really hoping that when the Dark Trooper was punching him that the helmet was going to crack or something. Like I really want to feel more of a danger to Din's life than we have had since he's gotten this new armor. Because it's like, okay, so you can just get punched multiple times by this thing. You can get shot. You can get blown up. You can get... The most we've seen was him get knocked out when he was trying to get Grogu out of the force field.
Well, I guess
I would like a little bit
season,
more danger to his life than we've seen. So I would have liked to have seen, oh my God, he's cracking through my helmet. I need to get this thing
I don't need another excuse for him to take off his helmet, though. That's for sure.
Oh my God.
Wait, okay, Finn, did you at least enjoy this time when he took off his helmet?
This was the time that I enjoyed it. Like, This was like, it was a good, heartfelt moment. And if we had never seen his face before, this would have like blew me away. I would have been like, wow, we finally see his face, and it's to like say goodbye to basically his son, and like it would have been so impactful. But no, we had to see his stupid little mustache 2 episodes ago.
Oh my God.
Are you kidding me? Like it was still a great moment, but if the other times hadn't happened before this, it would have hit 10 times harder for me.
Well, what I was gonna say is,
my question is, Finn, why does him removing his helmet earlier bother you so much?
Yeah,
it's just like I like the way it was set up, where it's like this is this gunslinger who doesn't remove his helmet. It's like you kind of don't know really who's underneath the helmet. It's just this mysterious figure that's like basically roaming through the wild galaxy, like fighting people, and you don't really know who's underneath there. It's kind of a cool mystery. Like you never really know what his face looks like. And if you show it for a moment like this, like in a season 2 finale, I'm like, okay, cool. It would have been really hard. It was still really heartfelt, but I'm like, it would have been even better if we hadn't seen it. But like the other times, like the stupid, the comms thing to take it off just to show his face when he knew he was gonna have to do that. Like, okay, that was fine. At least in the first season, it was like, yo, you're gonna die if I don't take this off. Like, let's see your face.
Right, yeah. See, the times that he has taken it off, I don't think that it was an issue. I agree with you that I don't think he should just be willy-nilly taking it off, especially if his belief is to leave it on. But in the first season, that was a character moment, and I felt like a lot of the character moments were lacking this season, specifically for Din, because he had to trust a droid with removing something that is like, I cannot remove this in front of another living person. Well, I'm not a living person, but he hates droids. So I liked that in the first season. I like the fact that it meant enough to him to try and rescue Grogu that he took it off. The second time, though, I kind of wish there was more weight to it. You know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of like, oh, take this off. Oh, okay.
Bill Burr finally got what he wanted, to see his face. Like, okay.
Right. But yeah, I've never had a problem with the times that they have shown his face. I just really, for me, Din has been lacking as a character for me himself this season, because I felt like he took a back seat for all of the other appearances and sort of, the episodic nature of the show. So I would have liked more of the struggle with his own identity and the sort of religious aspect of him keeping his helmet on, especially since Bo-Katan challenged him on that in the first episode she was in. So that was something that was really lacking for me this season, because I wanted more of that. Like she challenged him briefly, and then that almost like never happened again, and that kind of bothered me, because I liked the idea of there's all these different factions of Mandalorians and who's right, who's wrong, and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think the times that he took his helmet off was fine.
Alex, do you think that's going to be a thing picked up on season 3? Like, if Bo gets a bigger role, or are we going to have Din questioning his own religion more often?
I think it could be, but that's the only thread that we have to pull on right now for season 3. So right now I'm saying yes. The only thing that's interesting to me is I don't know how much longer Mando is going to stick to that after he's taken his helmet off twice in one season. You know what I mean? Like how much longer are you going to stick to that idea at this point? To me, next season, it seems like he should come away from that more. So he should warm up to the idea of Bo saying that. So
yeah,
to me, I feel like what I wanted for this season should not happen next season because he should already be leaning that way. You know what I mean? Like I think this season would have been the time for him to struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
By the time
keeps it on as much as Boba does, I'll be okay. I'm like, just keep it on most of the time. Like I don't want Pedro Pascal complaining just to get FaceTime, and that's the only reason why we see it. Like I only want to see his face.
That, by the way.
He said that. That's not real.
Okay, well then good. But I only want to see his face when it has something to do with the story at all. Like I don't want to see him just like chilling around the ship, like plopping his helmet down to like make out with Cara Dune. Like, are you kidding me, bro? Come on.
I do wonder when the heck did this dude find the time to cut his hair, because his hair was longer in season 1. I'm like, what?
His mustache in the finale.
His hair looks nappy too, man. That thing's greased up.
I guess it would be if he's sweating underneath a metal helmet all the time. But yeah, so season 3, the only thread that we have to go off of is the Darksaber. So I don't know how I feel about them wrapping up. What do you think?
That's not even really a thread. That could be resolved in one episode. Like they fight, either he
or 1 minute.
I think it's really just gonna follow like Bo-Katan promised Din Djarin at the start of the episode. Like it'll be the quest of returning to Mandalore, saving Man. Like it's gonna focus a lot on Mandalorians rather than just. I mean, Din Djarin will obviously be the main character, but I think we're gonna dive deeper into Mandalorian religion, more Mandalorians that are obviously on different parts of the galaxy that are still alive. I think that's like that's what's gonna happen.
I think season 3 is gonna be them trying to like restore like honor and stuff to Mandalorians.
Yep.
Like they're gonna network essentially.
Yeah.
Which I'm cool.
What do you think is gonna happen, bro?
Oh yeah, Gary.
Remember what Moff Gideon said to Mando right before he was going to get the baby.
That he had the blood.
Remember what Bill Burr said when he was talking to that captain, and this is all tying in with the timeline, and it is giving us a really good idea of where they're at in the Star Wars time. Like right before the sequels and right after the original trilogy. Operation Cinder has already happened, right? Mm-hmm. Therefore, they've already been in motion to get the First Order started. Now, why would they need someone with a high metachlorian count to create who?
Snoke.
Better not be Snoke, bro. Better not be Snoke.
But here's why
it would have to be Snoke. And this is
has to be the Emperor first.
Hold on. Emperor is like barely fucking surviving. Remember that. The man's half a machine or something like that. Remember we looked at his hands? It was gross. I hated that scene. But anyways, this is a good way to strengthen. Remember how we hated not we, because y'all a little bit younger than I am, but people really didn't like the prequels. Because it was just all like, what? That was the history of the Skywalkers. That was it. But then when we got all those extras, like, Clone Wars and all these other like books and stories to help fill in the gaps that the prequels could not fulfill. This is going to allow us to give more information on the sequels and their stories and fill them up even more. Like outside of the comic books, because to be honest with you, the comic books are the only things keeping the sequel alive to me.
Well, yeah, and I mean, just real quick, like going off that, Gary, I think the other 2 shows set in this time period with these crossovers are also going to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's why I was about to say that. To me, I don't know why you would continue that thread on Mando with these other shows. Like, so now Mando
you wouldn't necessarily need to, but like I said, Mandalorian is just like Arrow. It's the jumping off point of this whole televised version of Star Wars. So one story may end in Mandalorian, but pick up in somewhere else.
Rangers of the New Republic or Ahsoka. Yeah,
so for me, that's why I was saying the Darksaber is the thread that they left Mando to me, because I don't think that they'll necessarily continue that completely in season 3 for Mando when they have the New Republic show and all these other shows going on. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, I don't know if the whole I got what I wanted situation, you know, that whole program that they're doing, I don't know if they're going to necessarily continue that in this show. So that's why I'm kind of like, we only have really one thing to go off of for this show. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's, I mean,
it seems weird if Mando is now, like, just hypothetically, he's now trying to fight against the people that are trying to, you know, revitalize the Empire and the First Order and all that type of stuff, right? To me, it would seem weird if that's what happens in season 3 when you have all these other shows going on.
Sounds like an Ahsoka storyline.
Right, yeah, like it sounds like it would be some of the other shows. So to me, all we really have to go off of for season 3 is this Darksaber thing, which I don't know how I feel about that just yet, you know? But I do agree with you. I think they.
Do you mean just the Darksaber, or do you also mean Mandalore? Because I see them more pursuing like the Darksaber will be.
In with the Darksaber
I think like the Darksaber stuff will be definitely like a strong plot point in the quest for Mandalore, like to go back to Mandalore, restore power, etc. But I think it's not going to be the obviously central plot or storyline. I think they're going to focus on Mandalore and like finding other Mandalorians, and then this will obviously be like a subplot of, okay, is Bo going to have it or Din Djarin, or like are they going to fight for it? And I don't think it'll take the whole season to, I guess, fix. I think it'll either be done in the first episode or the first like 5. But I think eventually it will, like, they will decide, okay, it's going to be either you or me, or maybe Bo will betray Din Djarin, and then it follows Din again because he's solo because Bo betrayed him, and like now he's got to do whatever. Like, I have no idea, but I think they don't have nothing to use. I feel like they have a good thread, and I like where the show's going because it's going to focus more on like Mandalorians in general. Obviously still like following Din Djarin, but I'm happy that now Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka are out, because I feel like I was feeling, at least in this season, I was like, okay, I really love I love this season, but I was like, does Mando really, besides the child, like, does he have a reason to be beefing with Imperials right now? Like, does he have a reason to continue to like go after Moff Gideon, this huge general? No, he's not. He's a Mandalorian. He's supposed to be a bounty hunter, and we kind of got away from that. As much as I love the child, like, I've loved every single thing up to this, but now I'm happy Rangers of the New Republic is out, Ahsoka's out, because Rangers of the New Republic should be the one tackling these Imperial issues, First Order, because it's focusing on the New Republic. Ahsoka can tackle Ezra or maybe more Jedi stuff. Maybe she'll meet up with Luke at one point, who knows. But I'm happy like we've kind of broken up this clustered plot of like, okay, we're like, Mando needs to fight someone who better than Imperials. Now he can like focus on like Mandalorian plot itself. And again, I've loved everything up to this. I'm just happy that it's broken off. And I do see, like Gary said, in these crossovers, I do see Mando obviously teaming up again to go against Imperials or First Order or people who are ruling Mandalore. Like, who knows? But I definitely don't think Mando in the series itself is now going to focus on that plot. It's going to focus it on its own Mandalorian plot, because that's like what we were hinted at by Bo-Katan. Like, you can still join us, you know, my offer still stands after this. We'll need that ship to retake Mandalore. We'll need the Darksaber. So I think like they left us a lot of information that will obviously lead us to like go to that plot.
Yeah, and I'm all for that because of the character moments, because that just felt really lacking to me this whole season. Like, Din took a huge backseat. Gideon wasn't developed as much as I wanted him to be, and I'm only hard on that because Star Wars has some of the greatest antagonists of all time, and they
greatest.
Right, and they casted freaking Giancarlo Esposito, and so I kind of wanted him to do more than he did. Like, I fully expected him to get away, but he didn't, just because, you know, I was thinking at the time, okay, they need to leave threads for season 3. So obviously I wasn't expecting them to give Grogu away in the, you know, in the finale, and they dismantle Gideon already. But I really hope that next season they cool it on all of the appearances and they further develop Din, because he took a back seat this season for me.
And the nice thing too, which like going off that, Alex, I definitely see them doing it, because I mean, what is this going to do to Din, who's basically had this son for the past however long this has been? We don't know how long it was between season 1 and 2. So like this could have psychological effects where he's like withdrawing. He doesn't know what to like do. He starts getting angry because he doesn't have the kid anymore. Like, we have no idea. And maybe it won't even be that deep. Maybe it'll just be like he misses him, obviously, and like it leads to whatever. But I definitely see them like exploring Din's character more, and I think it was a good choice to give like away the child, because I think that's going to lead to like better character development for Mando in these upcoming season or seasons.
Yeah, and I've been telling Bryan the past few weeks that I really hope that what happened this season is like a one-time thing. And I kind of feel like it may be because of how much they did. You know, we had Ahsoka, we had Bo-Katan, we had Boba Fett, we had freaking Luke Skywalker come in and save the day. So I really hope that they really lay it back. Because right now, for me, I like season 1 a lot more than season 2. And it's just because of the character moments we got. We got Din struggling with the idea of being some sort of a father. He had to work with a droid. He had to basically work with other people. You know, he had to go on a quest, all that other stuff he did. And this season, he was kind of just a walking taxi that kind of just went from place to place. You know what I mean? So I really hope that we get back to the laid backness of it, because we're used to epic scale. All the movies were epic scaled. Clone Wars, most of it was epic scale, you know. So I really liked the laid back nature of the first season. I hope we return to that. This was cool, don't get me wrong. Like I really enjoy the show. Like, don't get me wrong. I have problems with everything, and this is not, you know, absolved of that. So I have major problems with it, sure, but I just really hope, I really enjoy it, and I really hope that they just kind of get back to sort of toning it down some. You know what I mean?
I agree with you on that one too, and I adored this season. But I do agree.
I hope that I hope that Din is not an idiot next season.
Yes,
right? Big dummy energy this season on numerous occasions.
Big dummy energy.
Oh yeah, no, he took a major backseat. Like, let me keep putting Grogu in this closet that he somehow keeps escaping from, and hope that works. Like, bro, like, you should know to strap him to something at this point, dude. Like, he was killing me a little bit this season. Let me go into this force field 8 times and knock myself out. Oh yes.
If I had a jetpack, I could save my son. Just let me.
Right. Oh, you creepy fisherman guy? Yeah, I totally trust you. I'll totally go on your ship on the strange planet I've never been to. It was like, holy crap! He went from like a really smart person to just like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll go do this totally obviously dangerous thing.
Yeah.
Hey man, you want to look at this dangerous fish? Sure.
Yes, sure.
That episode tripped me out, because I was like, really, you gonna just,
right?
Oh my god, you almost got killed. You almost got the baby killed.
Like Bo-Katan literally had to rescue the dude. Like, it all would have been over because he trusted random squid man on this planet he's never been to.
Yeah.
And he never learned his lesson. He's like, yep. I mean, that was a one-time thing.
Can't trust the Mon Calamari or the other race. God. Anyway, I think we can. I mean, I think is there anything you guys really want to talk about that's left, that's like aching you that you didn't get to speak about?
Oh yeah.
We go over our
album.
Yes.
With Moff Gideon just saying, "Assume I know everything," as like a yep, that's it. No need for explanation. Just assume I know everything. But how do you know everything?
Well, that's something too. Like, going off of that, we never got an explanation, or at least I don't remember fully. But in the last episode of the first season, he basically just rattles off all their names and history about him. Like, he says, I know Din Djarin's in there. I remember, like, you were at the Battle of Mandalore, like, the Siege of Mandalore, and then Din Djarin, like, says, that's Moff Gideon. But we don't know, like, what did Moff Gideon do during the Great Purge? Like, what was his role? Why does he know all this about Mandalore? Why does he have the Darksaber? Like, is he entrenched in Mandalorian, like, history? Is that why he's so focused on it? Or is he just an Imperial who, like, Thrawn collected trophies, that being one of them? Like, we didn't get enough explanation as to, like, how he's so entrenched in Mandalorian history, society, traditions, whatever.
Yeah, and I was telling Bryan
this season. Yeah, we should have definitely got that this season. But I feel like because of what you guys said earlier, like all those special guest appearances and stuff like that, like Din Djarin taking a back seat, like personality wise. I mean, I feel like he grew too, but not as much as he did in the first season.
Yeah.
And he didn't really have that many like really true pivotal moments. Just 2. He only had 2 pivotal moments. And that was it. But like I was hoping to get a lot more out of like Moff Gideon, to know more about Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
To learn why what makes him so dangerous, other than the fact he has this knowledge. Because when we were introduced to Moff Gideon, man, like he didn't do anything. We knew he was dangerous. He didn't do anything. He was just talking.
Yeah.
He was rattling off the mouth at the mouth. He was just like, I know you got warrants, you got baby mama drama. I know your business, that business. Everybody's business is my business, basically. And I was like, yo, that is dangerous.
To me, I would have dragged this out a lot longer than they did.
Well, I think the abruptness.
We also don't know if
this
it's over
episode.
Too. We don't know if he's not coming back.
Well, no,
he's coming
I think
back.
it was more.
For sure.
He just feels like Thrawn light at this point. Like I know everything. I'm the ultimate mastermind. I'm like, okay, bro, but you're like you're more boring than Thrawn, and like
he's interesting. Like he's cool because it's Giancarlo Esposito, but you could have just replaced him with like any Imperial, pretty much.
Yeah, unless we got the backstory, which we still didn't get. Like if we had learned like what makes this guy tick, why he knows all of this, why he's so threatening, then I would have been like, okay, I'm like super into this. This is a really cool character.
He's a Mandalorian
but they stuck too much with mystery where like we still don't know like anything about him besides that he knows things. Like that's literally all, and that he can semi-wield the darksaber.
That's some Trump shit right there.
Right, and that kind of bothered me a little bit that I have already dismantled him. Like obviously he's not dead, so he's obviously coming back. But there was a part of me that going into this episode, and I was telling Bryan this, I either wanted him to get away so that way we would learn that stuff, or they go freaking, Empire Strikes Back on him and they failed to rescue Grogu and he's like in.
That was my prediction. I thought that was what was going to happen.
Yeah, I was actually hoping that would happen because if they couldn't rescue Grogu, then that makes Din's stubbornness and stupidity this whole season and how he failed to rescue him a bigger thing. But that also we could go to Grogu's point of view and like, oh, maybe there's a dark side of Grogu that Gideon wants to capitalize off of, and then we would learn more about Gideon because one of the main characters is like with him. So like I was kind of hoping that would happen. And I think it was still a good outcome that they did, but I felt like they really dropped the ball on us getting to know him before he was dismantled. Like he could totally break free and like rebuild or regain his position or whatever. I don't know what they're going to do. They could do anything as far as I know, but I'm just a little disappointed that we didn't get much of that this season because he was really menacing last season. He showed up because he was naming all of their, anything and everything about them. And, he had all these death troopers with him. We didn't see that before that episode when he first showed up. So he was really menacing. And then this season, Din already beats him in a fight. It's like, well, dang, I kind of wanted him to be a bigger thing than he was because, again, this is a franchise with the best antagonist of all time. You know what I mean?
I feel like with that type of a character, you don't really put him in a position where he has to fight Mandalorian. Like, I don't want to keep making Thrawn comparisons just because I like him, but, like, they are similar in that fact where it's like you put up Thrawn against, like, Luke Skywalker. Yeah, we know Luke Skywalker is going to most of the time clap him in a fight, but it's like he is more ahead of the situation in his brain, and he uses tactics in that way to be able to, like, not put himself in that position where he would lose. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen.
Well, yeah.
I thought it was going to be, like, he gets there to get Grogu, and he would already be gone. And, like, Moff Gideon was like, yo, I dipped so early. I already knew you were coming. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen. But it was like, no, I'm actually here to slice your back open. It's
and that's something I just realized as you were saying that, Finn, too. It wasn't very in character or strategical of Moff Gideon. We see, like, he's obviously thought this whole thing out. He brings in these platoons of troops in the last episode of last season, basically setting a trap for Din Djarin and like ensuring that he was like cornered. And even he cornered them at the end of the tunnel they were coming out of. And luckily IG, 88 was able to blow up, or IG 11, whichever it was. But point being, him just like out of rage trying to attack Mando from the back, and Din Djarin knows that he's wearing pure Beskar and that's not going to work. Like, or Moff Gideon knows that he's wearing pure Beskar and that's not going to work. Like, I feel like that was very out of character of him to just like rage and do it.
I know everything, but I don't know that Beskar is lightsaber proof.
Yeah, and like
gonna say
he didn't even try for a strategical
thing.
shot. He just slashed at his back at the jetpack, which is pure Beskar, acting like he didn't know that, which he already knows. Like it was. I mean,
you know what it felt like to me? In Dragon Ball Z, when he's like Frieza's like, yo, I'm cut in half. Give me a little bit of your energy so I can like leave peacefully. And Goku's like, okay, fine, here you go. Like, but don't do anything bad. He's like, okay. He's like, never mind, and like shoots a laser at his back. It's like the last ditch effort, and then gets clapped. Like that's what that felt like to me. But he was not in like Frieza is in that scene is in like the worst predicament. Like has no chance to survive. But he has like half of all the leverage at this point.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
he did the last ditch effort when he didn't even need to. I'm like, what are you doing?
He really should have, I think, actually have stabbed in between Din's armor.
Exactly. He could have strategically done that.
Because again, I was saying earlier, I really wanted Din to actually seem like he can be physically hurt through this armor. So that would have been the point right there, beyond cracking, the helmet cracking from the Dark Trooper punching. It would have been like, oh shoot, he's able to get in between my armor, and now I'm bleeding all over the place.
And then Luke Skywalker comes in, slashes up everybody, like takes the Darksaber or whatever, and we can get to the same spot. But then we have like more plot where it's like, oh, Din is injured, now he has to recover from this. Like he's not invincible.
I was saying going into the season, if they killed off Gideon, that would be the biggest fumble. So I'm glad that they didn't actually kill him. Like he's okay, so he can still be used. But it's a little disappointing that he was already destabilized in such a, for lack of a better word,
it was just too fast. It was just too fast.
Yeah.
It was just too fast. Like this should have been 2 episodes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that the reason why this was last season like 10 episodes?
No, it was 8. But they did it like a 2-part finale instead of a 1 episode finale, and so I think it was executed better, and like we had a little more development. Like again, I liked how in the last episode of the last season, it left off on a cliffhanger. We're like, oh my gosh, okay, Queel's dead. The child is obviously kidnapped. They're pinned down by like hundreds of stormtroopers.
That was the episode before the season finale.
Yeah, that was like the second episode before the last one. That was 7 out of 8, and then 8 happened.
I was going to say, like, do you think that the whole predicament with COVID could have been a factor in why some things happened in some, like, in a fashion the way it did?
Definitely. I think for sure.
They were shooting before COVID happened.
Well, they shot some of it. I don't think they finished it, though, before COVID happened, but I think they got some of it down. I mean, I think for sure, in terms of at least, like, maybe the story elements, they had to choose late season, like having the finale only in 1 episode and having that filler episode in between. Yeah, sure, that could have been a reason, but I think, again, I think we can all agree, as much as we are obviously, like, not even angry, but like we're just, I guess, ratting on this episode and like this season, we all loved it to, I mean, a high degree.
I don't really have many problems.
I geeked out. Exactly. These are nitpicks, even though they sound like legit complaints, they're just nitpicks. Like we all really enjoyed this. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I just do think like as we talk about this, more discussions come up on like why things could have been better, and you can say that about anything. So I don't think it was,
the rose-tinted glasses come off and you see it for what it is.
Exactly.
Like, that, like, when we saw Ahsoka, like, we could literally probably tear that apart, too. And just be like, oh, there's some things there I didn't like. But the fact that they did things and I felt like they came through on their promises. Because I remember when they were just rumors, like, oh, Ahsoka's going to be in Mandalorian. And a lot of people were like, why the heck would she be in the Mandalorian? That don't make any sense. What? She's in the Clone Wars. That doesn't make any sense. Why would she? She's probably dead anyway. But they made it work out. And then like Bo-Katan, I would have never thought Bo was going to be here. I thought Bo would be here more than Ahsoka would.
I didn't think they would have had the time to do it. That's what I was like worried about. I'm like, how are you going to fit in getting Bo to like come with, like getting this whole crew together, getting Baby Yoda, like however that happens, and like figuring out all this stuff. Like I didn't think they did do it. And this is my favorite episode I think I've seen of The Mandalorian so far. Like I geeked out this whole episode. I loved it. But I definitely like if they had stretched this out over 2 episodes, I would have thoroughly enjoyed it, because I feel like we would have gotten so much more building of like Moff Gideon as the bad guy, as like an actual threat. Mando maybe getting in like a near-death experience like he did in season 1. Luke like coming in for a moment again. Like I thought they did a great job pulling off something I didn't think they could, because I didn't think they had the time nor like the resources to like really get everything in there. So I think they did amazing for what they had. I just think like creative wise, it would have been cool if we saw and that's not to say I don't want to replace the last episode, because I really liked the episode with Bill Burr. I liked his character development. I liked hearing more about like the Empire side of things and like why they think they're right. Hearing about like what the Empire's been doing. Seeing Mando like redeem himself after kind of being nerfed in that one episode with like that fight on top of the hover tank. Like I loved all of that. But
here's how
I think they could have
several episodes.
Here's how they could have fixed that. Are you ready? Get rid of the whole Frog Lady episode.
I was gonna say that.
Yes.
That's a fun episode. I rewatched it.
I did not like it. No.
Is it a fun episode? I guess. I did not care for that episode.
I did not care for it either.
It was the most filler since the Bounty Hunters episode with Mayfeld last season.
And I mean, I enjoyed that 10 times more than this one. The frog one I did not like.
Yeah,
the Frog episode over the Mayfeld episode from this season. Only because I don't like Mayfeld's character. That's the only reason.
See, like I was like catching my dad up on these, and we were at that episode, and I was very much considering skipping it, because there's no like, if you watch the second, or is it the first episode to the third, or second to the fourth, whichever like the order is, if you skip that frog, like you don't miss anything besides Razor Crest being in bad shape
at all.
That's all.
Yeah, it's
there's no character development. There's no big event besides Razor Crest being in bad shape, and whoop-de-doo, it's repaired the next episode. Like, there's nothing. Right. I just didn't think that was needed at all.
So if they had sacrificed that, they could have 100% done the two-parter situation.
Yep. And that, I feel like that would have been amazing.
Easy.
I think we all overall liked the season.
Oh, of course.
Of course. I really enjoyed reviewing it with you guys too. Like.
Yeah, exactly. I just, for me, still season 1 over 2 for me right now. The writing was definitely more sophisticated in my opinion, because like I noticed, like after I saw the Ahsoka episode, I noticed that and the Bo-Katan episode are like the same episode, just with stuff switched around. Like, okay, so here's a Clone Wars character that shows up. They give some sort of information about either Din or Grogu, and then they need help defeating some sort of villain. They defeat the villain, and then they ask about another villain that is a part of their quest. Like it's like virtually the same thing. And send
them to someone or something. Like Bo-Katan sent Din to Ahsoka sent him to the Seeing Stone. Like, and again, I thoroughly loved both episodes because I love seeing Bo-Katan in live action. I think they did a great job of her. I think they did an even better job in this episode and like in her character. I love seeing Ahsoka in live action. I loved her mannerisms. I loved like kind of explaining where she is in this era. So again, this is not to say I hated anything, and not even to say I disliked. I thoroughly enjoyed. Again, I think I like the second season more, and I am partial, I will admit, to seeing these characters from Clone Wars, Rebels, etc. being introduced in live action. I love that. That is a nostalgia factor for me that definitely like boosted my enjoyment of these episodes. But I do think obviously that there were some flaws like we've discussed. But again, I thoroughly love this season.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to Giancarlo Esposito, because he did that whole fight scene, and it didn't look anywhere near as goofy as the Emperor's fight scene from episode 3. He wasn't making weird noises. He was just convincing. I was like, good on you, Giancarlo. That's what I'm talking about. That's
he redeemed himself, because
that's another thing that I wish was done a little differently. I kind of would have liked that fight to have been longer. Like he was whipping on Din, and then Din just pulled the spear out, and then it was like over in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, you know I definitely could.
I would have liked how we said earlier if he got stabbed. If it was like, oh shoot, this dude might actually kill me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the main thing was just time. Like they didn't have the time, and that could be attributed to them obviously like misusing for like we said, putting a frog episode in instead of putting a 2-part finale. Like that could have been an attribute of that. Like we could have seen the ship damaged in like the first 5 minutes of that one episode with Bo-Katan land on the calamari planet, obviously in bad condition, and that would have explained it. Like we didn't need the whole episode. It honestly kind of felt like either Filoni or Favreau played Knights of the Old Republic, saw that mission with like that spider like in one of the series, and was like, we have to put that in here somewhere. And like they just chose that point. And again, it's not to say that it was a completely garbage episode, because like the action was good. We got some like cool kind of stuff about like the child and obviously him being mischievous and like Mando parenting, but like it was nothing we needed to see. And I think that the reason why that fight scene wasn't so long, we didn't get to see Moff Gideon explain his backstory. There wasn't more tension and like really what's going to happen between Bo and Mando. We didn't get to like see more of that, was just because they ran out of time. And I think they did a phenomenal job with the time they had, but I think that it would have been better if they had budgeted better and chose 2-part finale like we did the first season, so we really get everything we like needed to see versus just the one episode. And again, they did a great job. I mean, I didn't think they were going to be able to pull off like all this in one episode, and they did. I just think it would have probably served them better if they had done it a little longer with 2 episodes.
Yeah, I was surprised
the only thing that
so much in one episode. I was surprised they were able to fit so much into one episode. I was like, how are we going to see Bo? Like, how are they going to get Bo? How are they going to get the child? How are they going to fit all this in one episode? And they found a way to do it.
Yep.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm really worried about was after the end credit scene and they said that there was a Boba show coming out, I was like, oh my God, they're doing way too many shows. One of these is going to be trash. There's no possible way that all of these shows are going to be good. One of these is going to be super like CW Flash season 4 style trash. Like one of these is going to be really bad, and I'm not for it. And the rumored crossover idea really worries me, because all I see is freaking, like, I don't know if y'all see the freaking Chicago shows where it's like Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, Chicago Police. Like that's all I see when they do those dumb crossover, like freaking Grey's Anatomy and Station 19 crossover. Like that's all I see, and I'm really not looking forward to that. I get freaking flashbacks to freaking Defenders and how disappointing that was.
As long as it's not as bad as Defenders or the Crisis stuff on CW, I think we'll be okay.
I'm really worried.
Not all of the Crisis stuff.
Crisis on Earth X was good.
Majority.
Yeah.
That's fire. I really like that one.
Yeah.
Okay, as long as it's not as bad as the CW shows, is what I meant to say. My bad.
Yeah,
I mean, as bad as Elseworlds. That was terrible.
Yeah, Elseworlds was terrible, but I think for sure 1 or 2 of them will like not be up to par with like what we've seen from Star Wars. I'm just hoping it's ones that I don't care as much about. I want the Obi-Wan Kenobi show to be great, Boba Fett to be great, Ahsoka to be great, Mando to be great. If it's Rangers of the New Republic or Andor, I'm like, that's okay. Like I'm okay. Like.
No. Rangers has to be good if it's going to tie into Ahsoka and
That's
Mando.
True.
I need all of those to be good.
That's true.
Like Andor, I'm excited for that. If it sucks, that's going to hurt because I'm really excited for this.
We just need to drop some of these shows to get an Old Republic show. That's what we need.
Well, we have a sort of one with Acolyte. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Show.
So I was going to put something in the group thing real quick.
Yeah.
And it's this meme that I saw, and it's the picture of, who's that, J.J. Abrams?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
What do you guys think about this picture?
I saw this. So, y'all go ahead. Y'all go first.
I mean, I guess I'll just talk briefly about it, but I think for me, as a casual, like, I wouldn't even say casual because I'm obviously not a casual Star Wars fan, but I enjoy every movie. Like, I don't say they're good movies, like they weren't well done or something, but I enjoy them because it's Star Wars. I'm not picky about, certain character aspects. Like, of course, I wish some things are changed, but it's not to say I don't want or don't enjoy watching them. So I don't think Abrams or Rian Johnson ruined Star Wars. I'm not one of those people. I watch all those movies. They are canon. They're valid. I like the characters in all 3 of those movies. Mm-hmm. So I understand where this meme comes from because it basically comes from the people, the OG fans that did not like the way Luke or any of the old characters sidelined for the new characters or any of the new characters, how Rey was overpowered, all that complaining that they did, whether valid or not. This meme is tailored to them because obviously they weren't satisfied with the new movies. New viewers, like younger people, younger than me or my age, obviously this is the Star Wars they grew up with, so eventually it'll become like they'll love it, but they also had problems with it because it's not like the old movies. And so they didn't know, like it's saying J.J. Abrams didn't know which to do, and Jon Favreau's like, I appealed to both. All of the old heads love this, all the young heads love this. This is the definitive like Star Wars that it's been missing. And I think what happened also was that the sequels were hated by, like, basically divided the Star Wars, like, fan nation, that most things could have come up through this that were related to a Mandalorian, and, like, it would have been fine. Not to say that this was badly done. It was great, and I think that helped it. But right. I think there was something that needed to, like, fill it, and Star Wars fans were so sick of seeing, like, trash, they were just excited to see something else. If it was good or not, they were excited to see it, and I think that also lended to why it took up so much traction it did. Also, it being a great show with great production value, with a great story, helped it a ton. And I think that's where a majority of its followers, of its viewers came from. But I think it also was obviously attributed to the fact that Abrams had been so divisive, this 3-movie sequel, that, like, everyone was looking for something, and they got it, and it was widely accepted by the old heads that young heads could be like, oh, okay, it must be good. And then, you know what, it is good. And I think that's what, like, happened. I mean, I have friends who aren't Star Wars fans, or at least who weren't deep to Star Wars fans, who saw some of the movies, and I'm like, you need to watch this. Everyone's going crazy over it, and now they really like the show. They don't know anything about the characters, but they like it because everyone's saying that it's good, and also it's it has good production value, it's a good story, etc. But I think that's also what led to it, is, like, it was widely received on Disney Plus as, like, the first episode. So again, I like the meme. I think it's funny. I also think, though, it's not entirely true, because I think J.J. Abrams did the best with, like, kind of the climate of Star Wars at that time.
I hate this meme. I hate this take. It's so annoying. It's garbage. Because I am a person who, I love Star Wars, is one of my favorite things in the world. I will watch the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Rise of Skywalker, which are my least favorites. I don't think they're good movies, but I can still enjoy parts of them. I mean, I love Star Wars as a whole, but it's hard for me to get through some of those movies. But I'm also a person who is I would consider myself, like, the biggest fan. I like a big fan of, like, the original trilogy is my favorite part of Star Wars, but also I love the sequel, the first 2 movies in the sequel trilogy. Like, I think Force Awakens and Last Jedi are some of the best Star Wars movies ever, and I love them. Rise of Skywalker, I think, is trash, but that is another topic for another day. But I will say that I think Mandalorian is just as good as The Force Awakens and Last Jedi. Like, I think they're, like, equal with each other. I do not think The Mandalorian is better than those movies, period. Like, and that bothers me, where it's like the J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson, especially Rian Johnson, we're trying to do something different. They're trying to take Star Wars in a different direction so more viewers could be able to have new experiences with the characters. They're trying to be able to tell more different stories. I know Force Awakens is a lot like A New Hope. I don't need to hear that, but you know what I'm saying. And then it's like, no, but you didn't like those movies, but you like the movies that like you like Mandalorian, so the safest show you could possibly make. Like, nothing about this show is, like, groundbreakingly insane or trying to do anything different. I love it because I love Star Wars, but this is not anything hard to do. Like you said, even Aiden, if you put a Mandalorian in the show, if you put Boba Fett in this show and it's done remotely decent, everyone would love it. If you put this little cute child baby Yoda, everyone's gonna like it.
I think it was also the time frame too. I mean, this is, like, original trilogy time frame, Imperial,
everyone likes the original trilogy.
Exactly. Everyone likes that time frame, where Abrams was like, has to do something completely different with a new power, like the First Order, with a new Republic / Resistance, with the new 3 characters. Like, he had to develop this whole, like, I wouldn't even say second world, but it was like a new era with so much new stuff that he didn't know what to do. Where, like, Mando had, I mean, of course, the Mandalorian plot was kind of, like, original and great and new, but it had, okay, we're going to do a bounty hunter because those existed at the time, like Boba Fett. Okay, we're going to do it in the older,
hard.
Or the
like, this show is
original
not
trilogy.
Hard to do.
Yeah,
like, I love it. I will watch this over half of the Star Wars movies any day of the week. Like, I adore this show. But in the future, I'm happy that that J.J. Abrams, even though I don't like the last one, that they made a trilogy where it's like, this is something different. This is something new to give us more stories in this different time period. Like, I prefer that. I don't want, even Alex said this earlier, I don't want to be stuck in this little time frame where we just see all Skywalkers forever and we just see the exact same plots and we see only the same characters. Like, I wanted to see new stuff. Like, Kylo Ren is one of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time, and we'd have not gotten that if they didn't try to do something different. Like, I love that. And I really get annoyed when everyone who's a Star Wars fan, besides most, like, us or whatever, people are so elitist against certain groups. Like, there's some people that are just like, I love the original trilogy, that's it. There's some people that are like, I hate everything besides the prequels and Clone Wars, whatever. There's some people that are like, I only like the shows, I hate the movies. And it's like, why can't we just appreciate the things that we like? Like, if you don't like The Last Jedi, I know some of you guys don't, that's fine. You don't have to like it. Like, it's not for everybody. I get it, but you also aren't like, yo, I hate this. I wish this didn't even exist. Like, I hate seeing that stuff on Facebook where they're like, I hope they just rewrite the sequel trilogy. So it's like, you want the same, you want everything to be the same forever. I do not love most of the prequels, but I love Clone Wars, and I'm so happy that they took the franchise in that direction because it's so different, and we got so many unique, amazing stories that weren't centered around the original trilogy. Like, it's so annoying that people just want it to run in place the whole time.
Here's what's wrong with this meme and the analysis of it. It's a meme. It should not be taken seriously.
No, I'm not heated about the meme. I'm heated about.
I know. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm saying this is why. It's comparing a television show to a trilogy.
Yeah. That's
two different mediums. There is no comparison between the two different mediums. It's like comparing a book to a song. Don't do it. It makes no sense. You look like an idiot when you do that. They're two different mediums, so you don't have to compare them. It's okay that you like one more than the other. People like things more than they like other things. That's fine. But it's a TV show and a trilogy. Yeah. Stop comparing them. Stop trying to make them the same thing. Compare a trilogy to a trilogy, not to a TV show. You know, you don't compare a sushi restaurant to a burger joint because they make two different things. You know what I mean? Yep. Like, people are taking it way too serious. Like, see, this is evidence that I am right. The sequels are trash.
Yeah, movies and TVs are so different. Like, there's the process of writing them is so different. Like, yeah, Jon Favreau did this. Like, bro, Jon Favreau has had 16 episodes now.
Right.
You get 6 hours of the sequel trilogy versus 16 hours. Like, yeah, they're going to be different. You can't compare them. You're
right. So to me, there's no need to further analyze this because it boils down to that. You're comparing two different things. Oh my God, this bed versus this couch. It's like they're two different things, dude. They're not the same thing.
Not only are they two different things, I would say the sequel trilogy and the Mandalorian set out to do two completely different things. They're set in two different time frames.
Yep.
They're accomplishing two different goals. So, like, you can't. It's not a great comparison. The Mandalorian isn't trying to bring back Star Wars from being like dormant for like 15 years, like Force Awakens was. The Mandalorian is a Star Wars show that is building off of what came before.
Yeah.
The sequel trilogy is laying down new groundwork.
Yeah, and also something that I just thought about too, it's kind of funny, like Rogue One is widely received as the best Star Wars film Disney's made, and I think part of that is also, just like Mandalorian, it's set in the old, like the original trilogy time frame, and I think that holds a nostalgia factor with the old heads where they like it a lot more.
That take is crazy to me. That Rogue One is the best.
That's my favorite of the new movie.
I think it's my favorite too, but not just like I think
worst characters in Star Wars mediums. Half of the characters.
I wouldn't say that. That's kind of cap a little bit.
Okay, first off, Jar Jar exists, so let's not even.
Yeah,
go
exactly.
Some of I know there are worse. You know what I mean? They are so.
Here's why that was actually my favorite movie, because despite how different the sequel trilogy tried to be, it was still a lot of the same, and Rogue One was very different because, okay, we're looking at behind the scenes. Yeah, the characters are boring and, you know, the movie is a little long, but I liked it because I wasn't seeing the same thing over and over again. Like, people make the argument that The Last Jedi is the most different movie that they've been, but it was a lot of the same stuff just switched around in different flavors. You know what I mean? So that's why.
But I get what you're
just
okay, but like, here's an example. You want to know? Here's an example of Last Jedi kind of repeating stuff. Luke's story is almost identical to Obi-Wan's in A New Hope. It's like almost identical.
But I feel like in New Hope though, Obi-Wan's more willing to help at the start.
The same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Also,
like, if you bring it down. What'd you say?
I was gonna say, like, Rogue One is. I love the movie. Like, there's not. It is like in my top 3 of the Disney movies. But it's just for Rogue One. It's like if the whole movie was like the end, like the second half, it would be probably my favorite of the Disney movies and stuff. But that first half takes so long to get going. There's so much extra fluff that it doesn't need to be there. Like, I still love it. But just saying, I think Force Awakens and The Last Jedi are much tighter and more consistently, like.
I mean, I like all movies. I just always preferred Rogue One because it was the most different. Like, Force Awakens is probably the best made movie in my opinion, just because I had the least problems with that movie out of all of them. But
I think I'm with you too on that.
I just liked Rogue One because it was the most different. Because the whole sequel trilogy was like the same thing all over again, which makes it hilarious that most of the old head fans don't like it. It's like, okay, but it's like the same thing. Like, that's what you were asking for. It's like, oh, rebels fighting evil space Nazis and lightsabers and Skywalkers and old masters with apprentices that betrayed them and are now evil. It's like, wait a minute, this is the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, why are you?
I feel you. I do think the sequel trilogy though does, and we can end this conversation. This is not that big of a deal, but it's just like I agree. I love Rogue One. I love how different it is. I do think though that the sequel trilogy like takes a lot of the foundation of the original trilogy and takes it in new directions, which is what I really like, and why it rubs some people the wrong way. Like when I said earlier, I literally saw on Facebook 7 different people being like, yeah. Ugh, I hate The Last Jedi so much. This is so much more like Luke's character. It's like, bro, Luke did the exact same thing. Like he is in the. I won't even get into it. I'm sorry. I love what he did in The Last Jedi. It's like, but people just pick and choose what they like. I don't know. It's
just Star Wars. I mean, it's any fan
Alex,
base.
and I was. Oh, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say I think Star Wars is the most divisive fan base there is, and it's just
it's
been around for so. Yeah, exactly.
Too.
It's just people get so hurt if it's not what they expect it to be, and obviously I think we had 796 and Lawless in the chat, and I think they were kind of feeling that way at first towards us because like we were obviously saying this isn't what we expected the finale to be. We wanted it this way, and we do sound like a majority of Star Wars fans, although I think we all agree that doesn't change our enjoyment if it wasn't how we predicted.
Yeah.
We were more looking at it through an analytical lens of, okay, if they had more time, it probably would have been better done. We don't want to change, obviously, the plot elements. The plot elements are fine. We talked about the effects and just how it was a little rushed, but that's not... We are okay with the story. The story was phenomenal. I loved how they included everything and tied it off. So I think, yeah, Star Wars fans are definitely pretty bad about how they take movies, TV, whatever. They are pretty divisive about that, which is hard to, I guess, talk to a fellow Star Wars fan unless they're more casual about it in terms of they're just like, you know what, it's Star Wars. I like seeing anything Star Wars. I'm here for it. And that's what's nice about some fans.
There's a major problem with Star Wars fans, and I was telling Bryan about this earlier. Most Star Wars fans, not all, because obviously all of us here, and there's many people that feel kind of like how we feel, but I'm just going off of most Star Wars fans thrive off of spectacle and experience more than the actual movie and the story.
Yep.
Like, for an example, there's people that really like the prequels. The prequels are not good movies. I just want to get that out of the way. Well, the sequel trilogy movies are better movies. Yeah. Like, okay, you don't like the story, you don't like how it was handled, blah, blah, blah. They are better movies.
Yeah.
But most Star Wars fans don't notice or pay attention to that. They when the original trilogy was out, they were too young to notice that it had both spectacle and story.
Yeah.
Right? So when the prequels came out, I mean, I'm talking about the people that hold them in such high regard now. All they see is this idea was amazing. The idea of the prequels was phenomenal, like some of the greatest ideas to have ever been thought up by a person ever. But it was executed so poorly.
Yeah,
it was executed very poorly to the point that Clone Wars basically had to save its legacy by making a lot of the characters better than they were. Like the lead of Revenge of the Sith was a terrible actor in the movie. Like he was horrible. But for some reason, Star Wars fans, they see the idea, they see the spectacle, they see a bunch of flips and fights and all this other stuff, and they think, oh, this is really good. And then when the sequel trilogy makes actual movies, they're like, what the heck is this? I didn't want this. I wanted Luke Skywalker fighting Darth Vader reincarnated again.
Down Star Destroyers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they want EU Luke. They don't want actual realistic Luke.
Yeah, you want to call it spectacle. That's EU right there.
Well, yeah, and again, I think we should probably be wrapping up very soon, but I just want to touch on one thing just about the sequels real quick. But I
think, what do you think that's going to be?
Yeah, I'm going to say this real quick, but I think a large part of the reason why the sequels were also so contested and split the fandom is because the EU existed way back before even some of the prequels and during the prequels. So when the sequels came out, a lot of old heads who had read the books when like they were super Star Wars hyped were like, are you kidding me? All this good stuff's going out the door. Okay, I guess I'll like see what you do. That's nothing like the EU. I hate that. Like that was not what I was expecting. So I think that's where a lot of the animosity came from. Whereas Mando was just completely new. There wasn't anything that was like took place during that timeline that Mando was rewriting or taking over or doing new. It was just another story like Rogue One, like Solo, like that takes place in that time frame, just like the other
also
series.
You have to think about like what they follow up with. Like for example, we have the original trilogy, amazing, everyone loved it. Then we have the prequels, very divisive. People are like, oh, this isn't like the original trilogy. The original trilogy was so good. This is whatever. And then it's like after that, then you have like EU, like whatever, the Clone Wars and stuff in the mix. Like, wow, the prequels were so bad. This is just so good. And then it's like you get into the sequels and it's like, oh, the thing before this was so good and this is so divisive. I'm so mad at Star Wars. Like, this sucks. But then you have Mando coming off of something that was very divisive that some people hated. And it's like, wow, what a breath of fresh air from that terrible thing. Like, it's just a cycle. Like, it depends on what you're, like, Mando's coming off of something that some people hate. And so it's like, wow, what a breath of fresh air. This is what I love. I love the sequels, but you know what I'm saying. So like
right now, the sequels just needs time and a good TV show to change public opinion.
That's I completely agree. Yeah, I think time will really do it, and I think a TV show could also do it, but I think it's just time. But going out off of all this, we'll just real quick talk about Boba Fett coming up, and then we will get up and out of here. So, Bryan, what do you want to spearhead about Boba Fett real quick?
So when I first saw this, I was very confused. I was like, wait, is season 3 of The Mandalorian just going to be Boba Fett's show? And then I was talking to Alex, and then I realized, it's its own thing, but I don't need 2 shows, like, running concurrently. So this is probably going to be a good show, but I don't really, like, need to
I'm
watch
with you, bro. I don't need half of these shows. Like, I want them. I'm excited, but I don't need half. Like, I don't need a New Republic show. Like, I don't need a Boba Fett show right now. In 3 or 4 years when it's a little drier, yeah, but like, bro, we're about to get so oversaturated with Star Wars.
I mean, if you looked at it too, though, like the dates are pretty spread out.
When these were announced, I was like, I really wish most of these were animated because live action,
I was with you on that one,
has a higher room for error when you do it concurrently like this. Like, I really don't want to see a season of Mando out with something else. I don't want to see that. I need to spread out. So that bothers me about the Boba Fett show, but it looks like they're not going to do the same thing. Like when there was rumors that he was going to get a show, I was like, is this just going to be like Mando? Like he's going from planet to planet killing people, but it looks like an underworld show, which I've been telling Bryan is something that I've wanted, not just a show, but just like more about Star Wars underworld in certain points in time. So I'm kind of excited for it just from the shot of him on the throne, but the fact that it's going to be the same month as Mando season 3, I'm like,
that's gonna be rough, dude.
I don't need that at all, you know?
They'll probably run on back-to-back days, too. Man, it might come out on Fridays.
Or start of the week and end of the week type of deal.
I don't want that.
I mean, again, I don't think it's going to be anything that's obviously world-ending or, like, really, like, of course, I'm worried about it. Of course, I wouldn't love that. I like to focus on one show at a time because it's going to get very hectic at one point. But I do think they could have easily chosen to push back Boba or bring it closer, or same with Mando. I think Boba could have been released, this summer, and then Mando in winter. Like, I don't, maybe because of COVID they needed to push it back, but I don't think at the same time was a good idea. Does that mean I'm less excited about Boba? No. Less excited about Mando? No. It's just, I think that was a poor decision. Exactly. Yeah,
just have offsetting shows. Have Bad Batch come on like the early part of the year. Boba in the middle of the year.
Bad Batch should be airing with Mando is what should be happening.
If anything was supposed to be lined up with each other, it should be animated and live action versus 2 live action or 2 animated. I agree with that. I don't know, like, I don't think any of them should be lined up together. But if there was, I would want it to be animated in live action, not just double live action. I think it's just not a great idea. But anyway,
we'll still watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, it's not saturating or ruining my excitement for either show. I do agree that I feel like it would have been a smarter and better decision to air it either after or before the Mandalorian season, not at the same time. Yeah. All right, guys, I want to thank, first of all, Bryan and Gary.
Before you end, Aiden, I'm sorry to drag this out, but I just want to say I am impressed because you did not say in terms of 500 times this episode.
Honestly, that deserves a round of applause.
Right.
Yes.
Good job, Aiden.
Who was commenting on that the other night, Finn? Is that in the Discord or this?
My term is my favorite term in terms of terms. I thought for sure we were just going to get that the whole time.
And you did not
deliver. Thank you.
I thank you for noting that because I didn't notice, luckily. But I don't know if it was the Discord or this, but someone, maybe it was, I think it was Wisman. Michael Wisman was noting on it that I say in terms of, and so there was one other catchphrase that I said all the time. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah,
I say that all the time.
You say 100% a lot, and I was like, you say in terms of a lot.
Yep. Yeah, I say both. So that's good that I did better this episode.
Before we left, somebody had you roasted before we left. I'm sorry.
No, thank you for the roast. So anyway, thank you, Bryan and Gary. This is our last Mandalorian review. Who knows what our weekly episodes are going to consist of? If they're Shutter Larva, we'll be reviewing, but just for everyone who is watching, know that Bryan and Gary will be back multiple times on this podcast, especially when Mando and more Star Wars stuff starts coming out, but also for regular episodes as well. So thank you both for coming. This has been a great series to do with you guys, and thank you, Alex, for coming finally for the last episode. Great talking, and Finn for being my other co-host who's been here the whole time. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to watch on iTunes, the Shutterbugs podcast. We are all caught up there, as we will be when this episode comes out officially as well on there. And be sure to watch our YouTube, which is A1_ or just A1 Groundwalker. It's my personal YouTube, but we release the podcast on this. Follow everyone's IG handles: Cap Lives, Geeky Fresh, Alex and Richardson, Finn Aiden, and A1 Groundwalker. And see you guys later.
All the links will be in the description too.
Yes.
Boop.